an interim agreement to smooth delivery to Philippine Marines marooned aboard a ship at a hotly contested shoal in the South China Sea looks to be in jeopardy after Manila and Beijing provided conflicting descriptions of what they had agreed upon. Hello everyone, and welcome to a brand new video on the channel. Today, we are going to talk about the South China Sea Showdown, why it rightfully belongs to the Philippines. Before we get started with the video, don't forget to smash the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get started. Fears of a global conflict have grown in recent months as a result of increasingly violent skirmishes between Chinese Coast Guard vessels and Philippine ships at Second Thomas Shoal in the disputed Spratly Islands, where Manila stranded a Navy ship in 1999 to pursue its claims. Following de-escalation negotiations, Manila and Beijing announced a provisional arrangement for resupplying Philippine Marines stationed on board the BRP Sierra Madre without either side relinquishing their maritime claims. As a result of the fact that the two parties gave contradictory information regarding the terms of their agreement, commentators were doubtful about whether or not the temporary agreement would be maintained. The language of the interim deal that was agreed on Sunday to diffuse tensions at the Coral, which is known as Ayungin Shoal in the Philippines, and Reignited in China, has not been made public by either Manila or Beijing. The reef is situated approximately 200 kilometers, 125 miles, away from the island of Palawan in the Philippines. The Chinese government has granted Manila permission to replenish its forces stationed on the Sierra Madre with essentials of life, according to a representative for the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who stated on Monday that Beijing has consented to this. The spokeswoman for the Philippines, Mao Ning, stated during a routine news briefing that the resupply missions could only take place if the Philippines informs China in advance and after on-site verification is conducted. In addition, she stated that China would be monitoring the entire process of replenishment. Those remarks met pushback in Manila. The Department of Foreign Affairs, DFA, of the Philippines issued a statement on X stating that the country would continue to exercise its rights in the South China Sea. The statement also mentioned that the preliminary deal with Beijing had been reached without compromising national positions. Consequently, the Chinese statement regarding prior notification and on-site confirmation is inaccurate, according to the China Foreign Affairs Administration, DFA. It was noted in the statement that the Philippines had made the pact in good faith, that they were prepared to put it into effect, and that they had pushed China to do the same. Beijing asserts indisputable sovereignty over practically the entire South China Sea, which spans an area of 1.3 million square miles, as well as the majority of the islands and sandbars that are contained within it. This includes many features that are located hundreds of miles away from the Chinese mainland. Additional countries that have conflicting claims include the Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, Brunei, and Taiwan. An international tribunal in The Hague issued a ruling in favor of the Philippines in a maritime dispute that was considered to be a landmark case. The panel came to the conclusion that China does not have any legal foundation to claim historic rights over the majority of the South China Sea. Beijing has continued to send its maritime militia and Coast Guard vessels to Mischief Reef and Scarborough Shoal, which are located within the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines, according to Manila, which claims that China has ignored the verdict. There have been multiple incidents off the coast of the Philippine Islands as a result of the Philippines' increasingly forceful actions to maintain its claim to shoals in the South China Sea. These actions were done under the leadership of President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. Standoffs between Chinese boats and Philippine fishing vessels made of wood, attempts by the Chinese to obstruct the resupply of the BRP Sierra Madre using water cannons, and a daring move by a single Filipino diver armed with a knife to cut a giant floating Chinese barrier are some of the incidents that have occurred. The Philippines and China blamed each other for a skirmish that occurred near Second Thomas Shoal on June 17th, which resulted in a Philippine serviceman losing his thumb. This was a major act of escalation between the two countries. According to Manila, the footage that was released by the Philippine military showed Chinese Coast Guard officers throwing an axe and other bladed or pointed instruments at the Filipino soldiers and cutting their rubber boat. Manila referred to this as a brazen act of aggression. A few weeks prior to the conflict, President Marcos issued a warning that the killing of any Filipino citizen at the hands of another nation in the South China Sea would be very close to an act of war. The conflict took place just a few weeks after the warning. The resource-rich South China Sea is widely regarded as a possible hotspot for global conflict, and Western experts believe that tensions could erupt if China, a global power, decides to act more firmly against the Philippines, a treaty ally of the United States. Both Washington and Manila are bound by a mutual defense treaty that was signed in 1951 and is still in effect today. The treaty stipulates that both sides would assist in the defense of the other in the event that any of them were attacked by a third party. The United States of America does not assert any claim to the South China Sea. However, it asserts that the waters are essential to its national interest of ensuring unrestricted movement through oceans all around the world. Freedom of navigation operations, also known as FONOPs, are carried out on a regular basis by the United States Navy in the South China Sea. The Navy has stated that it is defending every nation's right to fly, sail, and operate wherever international law allows. Beijing denounces such operations as illegal. During his speech at the Aspen Security Forum on July 19th, the United States National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan stated that the United States would continue to support the Philippines and stand behind them as they take steps to replenish the Sierra Madre. At this moment, the most essential thing is to observe a de-escalation and to see the capability of the Philippines to carry out resupplies with supplies. The statement was made by Sullivan, who stated, "We believe that is attainable, and we are going to drive to make that happen." Speculation has been expressed by analysts on the possibility that the temporary agreement between Manila and Beijing will ever be put into effect. According to Gregory Poling, director of the Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative, it is possible that both parties hid the written information in order to preserve their reputations. The fact that they have different interpretations of the agreement could be detrimental to its success. We won't know for sure until we see how China approaches the next Philippine supply mission, he said. Until then, we won't know for sure. It will be a win for Manila's tactics over the past 2 years if the resupply is able to pass through without being disrupted, despite the fact that the Philippines will not provide the information to China in advance or permit any inspection of the cargo. In addition, it will unquestionably be a relief for the United States of America. According to Derek Grossman, a senior defense analyst at the RAND Corporation think tank, which is based in the United States, the accord did not resolve the underlying territorial concerns and appeared to have failed before it had even begun. As he put it, the China-Philippines deal is already falling apart, probably because Beijing wishes to keep the appearance of diplomatic engagement while continuing to uphold its bottom-line interests. This is a strategy that is low risk and highly effective, he said. That's the end of the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, let me know by giving it a thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.